Okay, welcome back. I mean, not really welcome back. I have something to admit. We're actually just still here. We went straight into this fourth quadrant. I just couldn't wait to find out. So we're actually following up on the conversation. So I wanted to know what is so great about quadrant four, because obviously this guy is smiling. He feels really confident. So we just coming out of quadrant three, the reluctant contributor. Now everything is great, right? Like according to this picture. Can you tell us what's so great about quadrant four?
Yeah, quadrant four is, as it says, your peak performer. This is the person who knows their job, they know what they know, and they know what they don't know. So they don't really need you to tell them what to do or how to do it because they
Mhm.
know. What they need you for is to be support. They need you to come in when they come to you and say, I need support. And they also need you to continue to challenge them because as it was in quadrant two, where you could lose the person because they were disillusioned, in quadrant four, you could lose them because they feel like they're no longer growing.
Oh,
They've
wow,
outgrown
that's really
you.
interesting. Right, okay. Okay.
So, so in quadrant four, you really want to make sure that you're challenging them, you're providing the support they need, you're not micromanaging, and you're paying attention to them, but you're paying attention to them more almost as a peer than you are as this is somebody that I have to tell what to do, how to do it, etc.
Gotcha, gotcha. I mean, to a certain extent, you've put in a lot of effort and you finally got this convergence of the perfect thing, right? You've got really high confidence, really high competence. You don't have to put a lot of management into this person anymore. They're just yielding all the fruit of your labor at this point.
Exactly. This is where
And
you
yet,
get, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, no, no, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is where you get your return on your investment in the person.
Gotcha. And yet you're saying even though you've finally cashed in on all your efforts, that you still need to be a good manager at this point. You can't just be like, oh, this is great. There's still things the manager needs to be aware of.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
the manager just needs to be aware of where the person is. You know, you want to develop a personal relationship from the standpoint of knowing your employees the whole time.
Hmm.
And when at this point, you want to make sure that you're knowing what their goals are, where they want to go, you know, even how they see themselves getting there.
Hmm.
And you want to help them do that, even if it means somewhere down the line you lose them. But
Hmm.
what you can do here is if you know that this person, let's say this person wants to be a manager and there are no management opportunities in your organization at this time, what
Hmm.
you can do is you can say, you know what, I absolutely want to support you in that. Let's give you some management work. You know, let me have
Mm.
you work with this person or bring this person on so that you're starting to help them develop as a manager. And then when they leave, they'll still be they'll be a great reference to the company, but there may
Right.
be a possibility for a management position to open up in the meantime.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so this is really fascinating. I just want to step back a little bit on this, just because I admit I was a little surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Of course, the person in quadrant four still requires like skillful management, but I think part of me was just like, oh, we're finally here. We don't have to do anything. But I think for me now, the key takeaway is that like at every quadrant, there is actually still skillful management to be done.
Mhm.
It's just the real skill is realizing what quadrant your person is in, so you're doing the right thing.
Right. And the other real skill is doing the right thing.
Right? Knowing and doing. Yeah, sometimes
Exactly.
they're not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
All right, but just to review, so the first quadrant is the person you have to do a little micromanaging of, right? Keep their confidence high, but also make sure they're not making too many mistakes, which will tank their confidence, right? Second quadrant, the disillusioned learner, they're actually gaining some competence, but they've lost a lot of confidence because they've realized, oh, actually, I don't know as much as I thought I did. And at this point, you're doing what? What were the things you said are important during this quadrant?
So during this quadrant, what you want to do is you want to really mentor them, tell them how to do things while giving them support. You want to ask them what they would do, but you also want to tell them what to do. So
Hmm.
you're going to be correct. You're going to ask them so you can correct what they're saying, as opposed to ask them so that they can do what they're saying.
Gotcha. And at some point, the switch flips, and then you realize actually this person seems to know
Hmm.
most of the time. And at that point, you start turning the question back on them when they ask you. You're like, well, what do you think?
Exactly.
And more often than not, if they're like, oh, actually, yeah, you're right, I do know, then you realize you're in quadrant three. And at some point, you even have a moment where you're like, actually, we both know you're here. And that's when they're on that fast track to quadrant four, which is a new challenge, which is like you've got somebody really stellar and you might lose this person because they're so talented that you need to keep them challenged, keep them
Hmm.
interested, right? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Wow, now that you talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, that all makes sense. But I hadn't really thought about it this way. So I just want to thank you again, Lisa, for sharing this with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tak.
Yeah.